In today's video, I'm going to be doing my full review on the T-Mobile REVVL 7 Pro 5G's camera. Is it worth $249? Stay tuned. Alright everyone, hopefully you guys are having a good day. Hopefully everyone is safe out there. As you guys know, the brand new T-Mobile REVVL 7 Pro 5G just released last week, so it released a few days ago, and a lot of people are talking about this device right now. $249 device. Of course, there's going to be some port-in specials and new number specials and stuff like that, and people are wondering if the camera is actually even decent on this device. So in this video, I'm going to be taking you through some of the specifications, and we're going to be taking a look at some of the photos and videos that we took on this camera, and I'm going to be talking about some of the drawbacks and some of the strengths with this camera as well. So without further ado, let's get into this. Alright everyone, so first and foremost, for our rear facing cameras, we do have a quad camera setup. Our main camera is going to be a 50 megapixel wide camera. Our secondary is going to be a 5 megapixel wide. Our third is going to be a 2 megapixel macro, and of course our fourth is going to be a 2 megapixel depth camera. Megapixels don't mean absolutely everything, so we're going to be showing you the videos and photos in a second. But as far as our front facing camera, this is going to be an 8 megapixel front facing camera. Now before we get into all of those samples, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a tour through this phone. Now of course we have our photo right here, and we can change our aspect ratio to 4:3, 1:1, or full. We also have the option to turn on HDR as well. We have video right here that goes up to 2K resolution or 1080p at 60 frames per second. And for our front facing camera, the highest mode that we can film at is 1080p 30 frames per second. We also have our night mode right here to take pictures in the dark. We have live focus on here as well. In our more section, we have some cool things like pro mode. So if you guys like to change your white balance or aperture, you guys are used to using a DSLR camera, then you guys can go ahead and utilize that. We also have our panorama mode, we have our slow motion, we have hyperlapse, we have our macro mode, we have our 50 megapixel shooter, and of course we have Google Lens if you guys just want to go ahead and take a picture of some products at a store or something like that and search them up on Google just based off of a photo. But this is not why you came here. You came here for these samples of the photos and videos on this device. All right everyone, so this is the REVVL 7 Pro 5G right here. This is the front facing camera, and it looks like the top recording level that we can record at is going to be 1080p at 30 frames per second. So that's all we're going to be able to go up to. Let me know what you guys think. We're out in a very sunny day here in California, so I think stabilization so far and the viewfinder looks good. I'm hoping the microphone sounds good as well, but this is what we're looking at for $249. Alright guys, so we're now shooting in 2K at 30 frames per second. This is the highest we'll be able to record at. There is no option for 60 frames per second at 2K on this phone. However, I don't see a lot of people recording in 2K anyway. So stabilization so far looks pretty decent. The focusing and the colors and everything look pretty good on this. Obviously, I'm gonna have to take a look at this back in the studio to see how the playback is on this. But looking at the viewfinder, this looks pretty decent. Stabilization looks fine so far, and this is what you can expect out of this camera when you record at a 2K resolution. All right, everyone, so this is 10K 30 frames per second. We have a crow up there being mighty annoying. Oh, cool. Flew away right when I said that. But back to the video. Looks pretty good out here for 1080p 30 frames per second. Again, the stabilization is looking okay. I am using one hand for this right now, but it is looking good for 249 bucks for sure. I feel like I need to do a comparison between this and the Galaxy A15. I feel like that would be a good way to gauge what you should buy at Metro by T-Mobile, because again, a lot of people, they're going to be getting this device for their first phone as a port-in or opening a new number, and of course the Galaxy A15 5G is going to be right there alongside it. So we're of course going to do a comparison between both of those phones to help you guys out. But this is what 1080p 30 frames per second looks. We got a Jeep right there. That's a dope looking Jeep. What is that, a Rubicon? But this is what you can expect out of 1080p 30 frames per second. And next we have 1080p at 60 frames per second, and this is how we're looking so far. It seems to keep trying to focus, if that makes any sense at all. Like when we're moving, it seems to keep going in and out of focus. So I don't know about this, guys. I don't know about 1080p 60 frames per second right here. Doesn't look like it's doing a great job so far. I feel like if you guys are trying to make like your own tech videos, or you're just like setting this camera on a tripod, it should be good. But walking around, it looks like it keeps going in and out of focus, and that may be an issue. I mean, it is an issue for sure. We'll see how this looks back on the studio in playback, but it's kind of weird. Right here. I don't know if this is an issue just with my phone, but let me know what you guys think about this. I don't really use 1080p 60 frames per second all that much, other than like when I'm testing out a video. You may do it if you're recording your kid's football game or baseball game or soccer or something like that, so this may be an issue for you, but it doesn't look all that great. Doesn't look all that great with that focusing that we keep getting right there. Maybe there's a setting we can turn off, but man, it's kind of disappointing. All right, guys, so as you can see, I feel like overall this camera is totally fine. I feel like the majority of people are going to be totally happy with this camera. I don't think there's anything too terrible to not pick up this device, since there's already so many great things in this device, like 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, a good processor, a good display. But the couple of things that I found wrong in here, they were very, very wrong, or very, very bad. And the first one, let's go ahead and pop it up on the screen right here. The 1080p 60 frame per second video right here. It seems like this kept going in and out of focus. I could not get this to work for the life of me. If you guys could get it to work, let me know in the comment section down below. But if 1080p 60 frame per second is very important to you, you may not want to get this phone. Now, I understand that the majority of people, they're not going to care. They're just going to use 1080 30 or 2K. But for some people out there, they do enjoy 60 frames per second video. For me, it's not a huge deal, but yeah. That was the first issue I saw on this device. The other stuff that I noticed with the photography is the macro mode wasn't that good, and I wasn't expecting anything that amazing out of a $249 macro camera. Honestly, I think it's just there for show. But also with our wide angle photos, like our 0.5 times photos, I did notice that there was some noise and some darkness in the bottom left and right corners, and it really wasn't looking too good. It was kind of morphing something into like a computer generated photo on the sides of the photo. So I didn't think that looked all that great, and really those were the only things that I saw wrong with this camera. I think in good lighting, you guys are going to get some good photos out of this camera, and on average, you know, it's going to look pretty decent. I think 1080p 30 frames per second looked decent. I think 2K at 30 frames per second looked pretty decent as well. I thought the colors were there. I thought the saturation was there. I thought the clarity was there. And overall, I think it looked pretty decent for a $249 phone. Obviously, you can't expect the world out of that. And for the photos as well, I think they looked pretty good. So Again, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. There were a few gripes that I found on this $249 phone's camera, but there are just so many decent things that outweigh the negatives on here. Of course, if one of those things is like a hard no for you on a phone that that's your breaking point of a phone, then obviously get something else. But I still feel like this is a great phone overall. But if this was helpful to you, definitely leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell if you guys want to be notified every time I upload a new video. Again, start your conversations in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think. But this has been Stefan from TechRight. Peace out, Tech Gang.